Vung, and today we will be talking about... I'm sorry, this is embarrassing to do in front of such a big stage. I have to make sure everything is perfect. It's just my OCD, you know. Have you ever heard of OCD being described this way? Well, I certainly have. In the wake of more familiarity with mental health in our generation, OCD still seems to get the majority viewpoint of what really is perfectionism in cleaning, organizing, or just being tidy in general. These are symptoms of OCD, but in reality, OCD is so much deeper than being depicted on surface level that trying to put this mass stigmatization on it is like trying to fit an elephant in a box. The stigmatization just doesn't appear up as senseless jokes. From casual conversations to the media we watch daily, though not initially noticed, are still henceforth present. The stigmatization will have even a profounder impact on the people who actually suffer from this condition that goes beyond the casual annoyance. And that needs to be louder for the people in the back. So today, we'll be talking about the stigmatization behind OCD. To understand this stigmatization, we must understand the unstigmatized side of it. OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, like many other disorders, is a complicated sphere that can't quite fully be explained in a 10-minute speech. However, it's important that we break through that typecast image of aligning things perfectly where they need to be. OCD can be divided up into 4 major categories: checking, contamination, symmetry and ordering, and ruminations and intrusive thoughts. Checking is the repetition of checking something over and over again because of an intrusive thought that plays out with fear and anxiety. An example of this is making sure the stove is turned off in case the house catches on fire. A person without OCD may check once or twice and go about their day, but to a person with OCD, even the small things like this can cause major anxiety, to the point where they literally have to film themselves doing the action in order to gain reassurance. Contamination is when a person has a certain fear of contracting something, such as germs, so they'll do everything in order to avoid it, like washing their hands repetitively and sanitizing. And before you say something like, "This is just germaphobe behavior," these fears can extend beyond the germs and dirt. According to the International OCD Foundation, there's more stranger and more magical type of fears, such as contracting bad luck. A person may feel randomly contaminated by another person or place for no particular reason at all. This causes them to avoid that circumstance, which leads to a greater downfall in their mental health, as this pattern is not being fixed, but turned repetitive. Next, we have symmetry and ordering. Now, this is the most common known form of OCD. However, there are still multiple parts in it that go overlooked. A person may step into a room and feel severe uneasiness because there's too much or too little objects in the room, or this is way too crooked and this is way too straight. These people are extremely controlling of the space they have to the utmost detail. And while this form may be used as the face front and may be overmentioned, it's important that we remain conscious and compassionate to the people who actually suffer from this. And finally, we have ruminations and intrusive thoughts. Now, this is also a form that gets this fear of shared generalization. People say stuff like, "I let my intrusive thoughts win again, and I dyed my whole head pink." It's often used as an excuse to do impulsive behaviors without an actual OCD background. However, like many other stereotypes, they fail to address the actual topics that this OCD may bring. These topics include harm, health, sexual, religion, and doubt. The afflicted may have troubling thoughts or impulses to harm themselves or others. They may have a fear of having a health condition, even if their symptoms don't line up with it. A person with religious OCD may face sacrilegious thoughts about religious figures, or even doubt if they believe their own religion. Doubt is the middle ground in all of these OCD, as a person may doubt all the kinds of relationships or things they're doing, as may even doubt themselves. An undergraduate study published at the University of Wisconsin-Crux stated that doubt is a lack of confidence in one's own memory, attention, and perception, leading to inability to make a decision. These people with OCD certainly don't want to think or do the impulses they're having, as it's not certainly their character. They may even be desperate to get rid of them. Imagine that one thought that you hate so much, that one impulse that is irresistible to you, but for it to be shoveled and circled back into your head 24/7. To remind you that you're not normal. That is the reality for someone who has OCD. But I mean, what's the big deal anyways? Using this kind of jokes is just a form of expression. Fixing a flippant attitude towards a matter like this will only end up in a dilemma for everyone involved. If you're a guilty binge reality watcher like me, there's no doubt that you're familiar with the show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. In 2018, Khloe Kardashian launched a campaign called Khloe OCD that provided lazy girl hacks for cleaning everyday items. Now, Khloe did not provide any incentives to deal with this condition, but rather used it as her opportunity to diversify her brand. From the carefully color-coded closets to the pinstripe pantries shown in her campaign, they all contributed to the idea that everyone already had in mind, the word neat. She even showed the correct way to put Oreos in a jar in the name of maintaining OCD. But those thoughts, those impulses that we just talked about earlier, the ones that are triggering people daily, being misrepresented so that someone else could be known as a neat freak. Psychiatrist Joe Nesbelt, a contributor to a study published in Comprehensive Psychiatry, said that the participants he examined in his study often reported the stigmatization surrounding OCD severely impacted their likeliness for disclosure. The study went on to report that participants would conceal their behavior in public to appear normal because of potential stigmatization. It's clear from these circumstances that we must make progress. So, what can we do? The solution is provided in the topic itself. OCD. Observing, considering, and decision-making. Observing. We must observe ourselves first. How do we respond to stimuli present as OCD? How do we word our sentences when we want to describe that something is neat? Then we can observe the world around us. We can follow advocates on social media, listen to their experiences, and take that into account. Or maybe there's someone in your own life who has this condition. Asking them to open up and share their experiences will not only educate you, but can lift a weight off their shoulders. After this, we can move on to step number 2, considering. After the observation, we'll be left with information on how actual OCD may be. We can then choose to put ourselves in their shoes by doing certain exercises to understand, such as doing a specific compulsion for 24 hours. Once we realize how overwhelming and difficult OCD may be, we can then choose to put a better foot forward into making that progress, such as choosing our words, because that's what ultimately defines our viewpoint, and what can define others as well. However, within knowing all this, it all comes down to one: decision-making. We all have decision to make. As Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "There's nothing more dangerous in the world than sincere ignorance and conspicuous stupidity." So today, are we going to make that decision to better ourselves? Or are we going to keep living in ignorance because that's what's most convenient? I hope at the very least, this TED Talk has made you consider making that decision. Because OCD is not a punchline. And mental health should not be an embarrassment. But the stigmatization and bias of it should be. Thank you.